for the first time since 2002, a NASCAR Cup Series driver picks up their first career Cup win here at Bristol Motor Speedway. That driver today was none other than Ty Gibbs. And Ty Gibbs has been on an absolute tear as of late. 6 straight top 10 finishes. 5 out of the last 6 of those were inside the top 5. So Gibbs has been absolutely on fire to start the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. And it was a absolutely much needed win, because when you look back at Ty Gibbs' career in the NASCAR Cup Series, it really hasn't been all that flashy or spectacular. When you look at a lot of things as stats, it's like, well, clearly he's the 4th driver at Joe Gibbs Racing in terms of when you put him in the pecking order. But 2026, he's been on fire. And remember, we were at the Brickyard 400 presented by PPG back in July. He won the NASCAR, the very first ever NASCAR, the in-season tournament challenge at the Brickyard 400, going up against Ty Dillon. And maybe that's where the momentum really started for him, because he hadn't really done anything in his Cup Series career up to that point, and he was finally able to get a tournament win. Doesn't really count towards anything except for that extra $1 million, but 2026, he's been on a heater. And normally it's after that second season that drivers seem to turn it up, but we didn't really see that at all last year. And even when he won the in-season tournament challenge, he finished like in the 20s somewhere. I don't remember the exact number coming off my head, but Ty Gibbs, winner of the Food City 500 today. And hey, he's the same old Ty Gibbs. He might be a little more quiet than he was in the past, but he's the same old Ty Gibbs. Post-race press conference, he doesn't listen to social media, says that his haters are going to have to do something else today with him getting the win in the Food City 500 just about 2-ish hours ago. And let's talk a little bit more about today's race. We saw in practice and qualifying yesterday, when Doug and I mentioned it in our pre-race video earlier, but we really didn't see a whole lot of tire fall off in practice, and we especially didn't see it at all today, and it really didn't look like it was going to carry over at all. I mean, temps were in the lower 80s to begin this race. This is just past 8 o'clock now, and temperatures are now just pretty much dropping probably below 70 as we speak right now. But didn't really see tire wear, but this was an interesting race because it had all the makings of it being Gen 7 era, Bristol, not a lot of passing, single groove, but we really didn't see a whole lot of that in terms of today, where passing was a little bit difficult, but we necessarily didn't see a second groove come in. But it was one of those races it was very single groove to begin the race. Everybody was on the bottom for the first 50 laps until that first caution came out. But it kind of became one of those races that took care of itself as time went on. The cautions really helped it, and you hear the haulers leaving behind me right here and behind me as well. But we look at it, I'm going to use a football analogy. It was a race, let's say a football team, they just hang in there enough to eventually they get the win. They just hang around. It was kind of like that with this race, where it was just hung around. It never got out of control to where, man, this is the worst race ever or anything like that. But the race took care of itself. And we ended up getting the first overtime finish in a Cup Series race at Bristol since 2015. That seems a little unbelievable with some of the wild races we've had in recent memory. 2 years ago in the Food City 500, 2021 Bass Pro Shops night race, just to think of a couple over the past couple of recent years, past 5 years within the 2020 decade. But it was a decent race to finish out. And Ty Gibbs, his competitors had Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, for instance, said, hey, he just beat out 2 championship-level drivers to get there to win the race. And I think Ty Gibbs used that momentum and was able to use it towards the victory today. But I would say overall, though, Food City 500 was a pretty decent race on paper, I would say. But looking back at things, at the other results of today's race, Ryan Blaney, the pole sitter, finishing second. Kyle Larson finishing third. Hey, 4-time winner this season. Tyler Reddick finished fourth. Briscoe rounding out the top 5. And Doug and I mentioned this earlier in our video about, hey, Kyle Larson hasn't won here in a long time. A Team Bristol race led over 800 laps. it was looking that way for the most part, being a tame. It wasn't a wild Bristol race, but it wasn't necessarily super tame like it had been when the races that Larson has won here. But we bring it back here to look at it. Ty Gibbs is now top 5 in the point standings. Ryan Blaney's sitting there second. And for the first time in forever, Tyler Reddick does not have a one-race lead over the competition. So now that race, the points lead is now shifted even smaller than what it was prior. So to recap everything, Ty Gibbs picks up his first career NASCAR Cup Series win in the Food City 500. And what was a great day, a great weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. 5 to Go podcast, YouTube page, Facebook page, all weekend long. It was a fun one to cover here. Dan and Doug will have everything covered for you guys on the 5 to Go podcast later this week. They'll break down everything Food City 500 weekend. I will not be on it. I got a lot of work activities coming up, and won't be back on the podcast either till next week or the week after that. But thank you to Doug helping out this weekend as well. But we're signing off here from Bristol Motor Speedway, Food City 500 weekend. It's been a blast. We'll see you guys at the track next time. Stay tuned. 5 to Go podcast later this week for more analysis.